Cloud Cowboys are back. I'm Hunter.
This is Waylon.
Good to see you all again. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about Summer 24 Salesforce release notes.
Exciting stuff.
You know how we know that summer release notes are coming out soon
How do we
here
know?
in Texas?
How?
Because you literally can't go outside. That is your cue that summer release is coming soon. So
Yeah,
we
across
got
the country.
a few topics to talk about today, some
Yes, sir.
exciting ones. Waylon's going to get us kicked off.
All right, so the first one for me is Einstein for Flows. Einstein for Flows is going to allow you to use like a ChatGPT environment to speak into it, type into it, give it a prompt, and it will generate a flow for you in draft mode, right?
Sure.
So that's really cool. This is the first time we're seeing Salesforce using a ChatGPT type function create metadata behind the scenes.
And for non-admins, a flow is?
A flow is a system that lets you automate things, right? Say, for example, when a lead comes in, I want to send an email to that lead.
Yep.
So what that would let you do is you could just type in, create an automation that when a new lead is created, send an email and you give it all the information, it'll automatically generate that flow for you. And then you can test it and edit it and fix it. So it's a big change. We've kind of seen this going this way with the AI features in other platforms, but we haven't seen Salesforce tie AI necessarily back to the creation of metadata.
Okay.
And metadata behind the scenes is what builds Salesforce. Every piece of Salesforce, every field you see, it's stored behind the scenes in metadata.
Sure.
So you can just start to imagine the possibilities there, right? So you can say, hey, I want you to spin up a Salesforce org and just type in all these fields into a GPT environment, and maybe it just goes and creates those fields for you without even having to do any clicks.
Yep.
That world is coming, I believe, fundamentally. And so, there's a lot of impact on how that's going to impact the partner ecosystem, how that's going to impact all the developers out there when you can just type in what you want and it just builds it for you.
And so this is, now we're creating metadata opposed to the earlier stuff that's come out as creating
Records,
which
data,
would just be regular data.
Which would
right?
just be regular data,
Yeah.
correct, right. And it has, AI out of the gate is probably better suited initially for just regular users. I need to do this to this opportunity. I need to do this to this.
Write
lead.
an email for me, anything
Right.
like that. Yeah.
But one of the places it works really well is writing code and things like that. It's pretty good at that. And
Sure.
so, this is a big thing. This is the first time we've seen it actually introduced in this way.
Yep.
So it's exciting stuff.
Very cool. My next topic is something super exciting, Salesforce Security.
So
in
fun.
Summer 24 release, couple cool features. One of them that I want to point out that I deal with on a decent basis, and we see with a lot of our customers, is that now when you go into a permission set, you can see everything that permission set is enabling for users. So what we see when we go into our environments for our customers is this laundry list of permission sets where probably 90% of them aren't used. But you go in, you click into one, you don't really know what it's doing. So then you go create a brand new one to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve.
Right.
It ends up being a nightmare. So now what you'll be able to do is just click in that permission set, clearly see what it does, say, oh, perfect. This one already does what I need.
Yeah.
I can just assign this permission set to this user so now they can do whatever I need them to do, see whatever I need them to see, etc. And security should be a top focus for people right now.
Yes.
It's a good time to go through your Salesforce security, do an audit on your profiles, your permission sets, permission set
Upgrade.
licenses, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Because with the innovation with AI and all of that, and the generative capabilities, the good news is that Salesforce generative AI respects the security you have in there. But if your security isn't properly set up and a user goes and asks for a prompt, they might get access to do something or have the system do something that you don't want them to do. So good time to go through, refresh that and see what it is. And now it's easier to see it.
Yeah, that's also important because traditionally people have just kind of thrown security in there. They may have given access to fields, but they're like, oh, it's not on the page layout, so users can't see it.
Yep.
But that's not always the case. If a user wants to run a report or with AI, they can surface that data.
Sure.
The Salesforce security environment is becoming infinitely more complex between permission sets, user access policies, muting permissions. All of that is very complex. And so you can create these really complex worlds, and you can also rethink old architecture that was all designed around profiles can now be put into permission sets and all the different features. So
100%.
it's a great time to look at that.
For sure. What you
All
got
right.
next?
My next one is, where was I going next? Tab visibility is a
Okay.
cool one. So tab visibility, before you could throw a bunch of tabs on a Lightning page, on a record, say account page layout. But if nothing was there, the tab would still show. Or if you didn't want to show that tab to any users, a good example for us is we have invoices on our projects.
Sure.
And some people, we don't need to see invoices.
Right.
But what happens is, just because I hide the related list, they can still see the tab that says invoices.
Sure. And these tabs are, so when you first click into a record, an
Yeah.
account or a contact, and kind of that middle pane,
Correct.
you have different tabs you can click
Yeah, usually
into,
it starts
right?
with related, then
Details. Yeah,
Exactly.
sure. Okay.
So now you can put visibility behind it, where like if I don't want anyone but an admin to see the invoices tab on a page layout, I can do that.
Perfect.
Before, what you had to do was start building all these different page layouts. So it just makes things simpler, or not page layouts, but Lightning pages.
Sure. Anything you can do to enhance the UI in order to help with adoption, so people aren't clicking around places they're not supposed to be. They jump in, they see 100 things that they don't need to see.
Yep.
Anytime you can enhance that, take advantage of it.
100%. The last thing is action buttons in flows. Okay. So flows, specifically screen flows. Screen flows are getting very powerful. There's the new repeating feature where you can repeat record creation.
Just give me 1 minute on what a screen flow
So
is.
a screen flow is a UI that Salesforce has that you can declaratively do different things. Like, for example, say I'm on an account and I want to update an account plan or update a record under an account. I can put a screen flow embedded into the page on the account. And I can dynamically put fields on that so that anytime the user comes in, they see that screen's flow, and I can put custom fields in that flow. And then when they say next, they can go do different things. It'll say, all right, I'm going to go get all the account plans and update that data, things like that. So within a screen flow, there's been a lot of cool features where you can put fields on the page, you can do all these different things, and then you can take that data that a user enters onto the page and go do other things with it. But before, what you had to do is, if you wanted an action to occur where you went and got data from the database and pulled it back into the flow, the user had to click the next button.
Gotcha.
And then the next button takes you to a new screen. And in between those screens, you go fetch the data, you do what you want to do.
Okay.
So now what you can do is you can put a button within the screen, an additional button inside the screen.
Okay.
And with that action button, you can run subflows. Subflows are basically like small flows in addition to the flow within a flow.
Like a little Russian doll action?
Yeah, like a dream within a dream, like a flow within a flow.
Okay.
And so within that flow, you can go grab that data and then present it on the screen in real time. So it starts to open a lot of possibilities around this. We have a customer right now who traditionally we would do a very complicated UI build for what they want to do. And instead, we're going to just use flows and try to do it all within flows, because now it's so powerful. And you're going to get all those features that keep iterating through flows. So screen flows are really cool now with this release.
Last thing I want to talk about is RLM. Something, if you haven't heard about it yet, is something you will hear a lot about through the end of the year. So RLM stands for Revenue Lifecycle Management, and it is the newest product in the Revenue Cloud suite. Okay, so typically Revenue Cloud has been primarily comprised of, like, CPQ was the big product, configure, price, quote. Then you've got Salesforce billing as well. And now you have RLM. And what it is we're seeing Salesforce continue this trend of taking previous acquisitions that they've made, and they maybe were using that acquisition still as like its separate product, right? For Marketing Cloud, you're still logging into a separate instance of ExactTarget. For CPQ, you had to download an actual package from the App Exchange and install it. Pardot was that way at one point as well. And so we're starting to see them move more and more directly onto the platform. And that's what we're seeing with RLM. So with RLM, you no longer have to download that package. It's all built natively in Salesforce now. So the features, like feature to feature, they're still working on new releases that give you everything that the CPQ package does.
Typical release process, right? They're going to release an MVP, get that working, and then iterate.
They'll continue to add things, similar to what you saw with Lightning, right? The classic to Lightning transition. Lightning didn't have all the features at first, but some people went ahead and moved over. Similar with RLM. So we do have customers starting to take advantage of that package. You can do some really cool things with it, especially if you have a part of your website where there's a purchase that happens, right? If that is where you can buy online is an important part of your sales process, then might be worth looking at RLM already. But we have people starting to take it seriously. You go look in the release notes, and a lot of the major releases now and the new functionality is going to be RLM based, not CPQ based.
Right.
Now, some of the misinformation floating around is that like CPQ is going away at the end of the year and people are nervous, like, you know, we have CPQ, what are we going to have to do? I don't think any of that is true.
People are paying for it. Salesforce isn't going to just...
Yeah, the package is going to be around for a while. So don't worry about that if you're already a CPQ user. But if it's something you're interested in, you just have like regular Salesforce quoting now and you don't have CPQ yet, we're getting close to time where it's worth evaluating. Does the CPQ package or does this new RLM feature make sense? So the release notes online go through some of those features, some good videos on there as well. It's worth checking out. Cool. That's our summer 24 release highlights. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time when we ride again.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.